Hi everybody, Chris here from Flying Stars Astrology, and today we're going to be talking about Prince Andrew and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and how that got him into trouble with the BBC, well, with his family. Hi everybody, Chris here from Flying Stars Astrology, and we're going to be talking about Prince Andrew today and his downfall with the royal family. So Prince Andrew, I'm sure everybody's heard of it unless you've been under a rock for the last couple of weeks. Prince Andrew is being accused of having sex with underage girls as a result of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And one of the accusers is Virginia Roberts, who is seen here in this photo with Prince Andrew. And then the woman standing at the back, her name is Ghislaine Maxwell. She was Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend during all of this and is called as being accused of being Jeffrey Epstein's madam, who arranged these get-togethers for Prince Andrew to sleep with younger women and other men as well, other very wealthy, powerful men. So I don't know if Ghislaine is going to be living much longer, because I can't imagine, given some of the names that I saw of people who are supposedly clients of Jeffrey Epstein's or were clients of his, she would be coming up against some very, very powerful people, and I cannot imagine anybody would want to have her giving their information to the FBI, but we will see. So how did this all start? Prince Andrew's exile. He's a known friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein is accused of pedophilia by a number of women, and was actually arrested and convicted of being a pedophile back in 2007, 2008. And then he also is accused of arranging for men like Prince Andrew to sleep with these young girls that he enslaved. So he's been known to have this relationship with Jeffrey Epstein since the 1990s. And there have even been stories about and speculation about Prince Andrew having sex with younger women on Jeffrey Epstein's private island and his home and other places for over a decade now. So nothing has really ever come of it, which is a little bit surprising. But you know, when you're wealthy, you can do a lot of things that people who don't have money can do. And so it made me wonder, why is he in so much trouble now? Because I would think that the royal family would continue to keep him sheltered so that he would not have to deal with these accusations or these issues, even though it's probably bringing shame to the family. So I took a look at his flying stars from his childhood, and then also issues that he was dealing with as he was growing up. So his image problems go way back. So back in the 1920s, he dated and lived with a UK porn star named Koo Stark, and apparently that brought a lot of shame to the family, and they didn't want him to date her, and you know, it just looked bad. But you know, the press obviously liked it because it made for headlines for them to write stories. He also had behavior that the press in the UK admonished as being unregal. So, you know, he's a representative of the royal family, but his behavior when he was out in public didn't come across as very royal. So he was constantly admonished for that. He was rumored to have affairs when he was married to Fergie. She also had affairs. She was the one who was caught, and it was posted in the newspaper, pictures of her having an affair with somebody else. So that split up their marriage, but he was also accused of doing the same thing. He says he met Epstein in 1999, but his secretary says that they actually met in the early 1990s. So that's interesting, because that, you know, that's a mismatch of information. And then Vanity Fair had an article called "The Trouble with Andrew" back in 2011, talking about not only you know, issues that he had before, but problems that he was having with the royal family. Apparently Charles and he do not get along very well, but he is his mother, Queen Elizabeth II's favorite son, supposedly. So he was able to get away with a lot of things that the other people in the royal family were not able to get away with because of his favored status with the Queen. So why all this trouble with these women, and why all this, you know, why all these image problems? Well, looking at his flying stars from when he was born, he had the fame star sitting in his success direction, and it indicates that he could be famous through writing or through romance. So it probably would have been better for him to pick the writing, but you know, he could be writing a book now that some things have changed so that he can make money, but instead he's famous through his romances. So, you know, he's been put in the spotlight because of his relationships with people like Ku Stark, with his marriage to Fergie, which was tumultuous and you know, crazy, always in the tabloids, for his relationships with Jeffrey Epstein, and then the girls that Jeffrey Epstein allowed him to have relationships with when he would go visit Epstein. During childhood, it looks like he had some health issues, possibly his eyes, vision, lungs, which could be asthma or breathing challenges. And then the other stars that he had were difficulty on his relationships as a young adult, which he definitely did have difficulty, conflict, disagreements. Perfect example is his relationship with Ku Stark, which caused conflict with his parents and the royal family, and his role in the government as a royal. And then his wisdom direction shows that he could experience betrayal and financial loss through relationship choices and decisions. Well, that sort of has all come to manifest, and the reason is because of this interview with the BBC during this month of November. So Prince Andrew was asked to do this interview after Jeffrey Epstein died, and I'll just put it that way because I'm not really sure that's the way that's being reported. How he died is actually how he died, because it doesn't make sense to me. But that's a whole different story and a whole different analysis of flying stars that we may look at later. But anyway, so he asks some people whether they think it's a good idea. His publicist said no, and advised against it. His secretary said, yes, I think it would be a good thing for you to do. So he ended up deciding to do the interview. His publicist quit about 2 or 3 weeks before the interview was done, because he didn't think it was a good idea. And so this interview takes place on November 14th, and the flying stars for that day show that he would have a relationship that would create disastrous financial loss. So this would likely be the relationship with his family, because there are a lot of things that have happened as a result of this interview. They also show sudden financial loss through relationships with family and government, and then trouble with business partners that result in financial loss. So as you see through these stars, they're repeating the same thing: losing money, relationship problems, right? So that's kind of hard to avoid if you have not been doing things that are to your benefit. If you had these stars sitting on your direction, which a lot of people did that particular day, they could have experienced something different. Like, you know, maybe they needed a car repair that day, or maybe somebody in their business decided to resign and it was one of their top salesmen. So it didn't necessarily have to be disastrous for Andrew, but because of his past behavior, this is how the stars played out for him. So the BBC airs this interview 2 days later, and the day that this was released on TV, the flying stars showed that Andrew had conflict with people, and that this would result in financial loss in his career. He also had a star combination that showed sudden disaster in relationships, especially with family and government, and romance causing financial loss, in this case past romances, but specifically because of the star sitting there. It's talking about the star points to romance with younger women. So it was just bad all over the place. Bad from the time he interviewed to the time it aired, because just the combination was not good. So what happens after the interview, right? So a few days after the interview, the royal family literally gave him the boot. They canceled, the first thing they did was cancel his 60th birthday party. His birthday is coming up in February of 2020. They canceled the party, and keep in mind, this is the Queen's favorite son, and she's the one who cancels the party. So that's how bad this is. If you ask a parent or a mom, about her favorite child, they can usually do no wrong, right? Well, he was able to get away with doing no wrong for decades, literally. And then this comes out and it looks so bad on the family that she doesn't really have any choice. She's got to start cutting ties with him. So the family asks him to move out of the Buckingham Palace, move his business out of Buckingham Palace. They asked him to withdraw from public duties so that he is no longer a representative of the royal family. He's no longer being paid by the sovereign debt. Well, do you know what the sovereign debt is? I did not know what the sovereign debt was, so I had to look that up. So what this is the UK government gives the royal family like an allowance every year. They give them a certain amount of money, and the family it divides that up however they divide it up, and everybody spends a piece of that money for the year. So it's like their allowance for the year, if you could say that. So he's been cut off from that, meaning his income has been cut off. That's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. He had ties with over 200 companies and charities, and now they're starting to cut their ties with him because they don't want to be seen as being represented by a potential pedophile. Then he stepped down as chancellor of one of the universities in the UK, and now the FBI wants to interview him. Now, whether they'll be able to force him to do the interview, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I would think not, since he is in the UK and Jeffrey Epstein and the whole situation took place in the US, but that remains to be seen. So that sort of brings you around to where we are with Prince Andrew, how the Flying Stars impacted his behavior, and why this is all coming to fore now as opposed to in the past. It's like it all came to a head right now, and it's all about his choices, and not only his choices, but the triggering of what do I want to say? Like the repercussions of his behavior were triggered by the Flying Stars. So, you know, eventually things like this are going to catch up with you. So if you're doing things that you should not be doing, you always have the opportunity to change it, and I recommend that you do that. If you're doing the right thing, then you don't have anything to worry about, right? You just kind of keep moving on with your life. So that explains a little bit more about Prince Andrew and how the Flying Stars had a part in why everything blew up now. If you like these videos, I make videos like this on celebrities, on royalty, on politicians from time to time. I also do videos on flying stars for the year and for the month, and how they will impact you, or likely to impact you, and how to use their energy to your benefit. So if you like these videos, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you click the bell, you'll be notified every time I post a new video. If you like this particular video, give it a thumbs up. And then if you have any questions or comments, post them down below and I will get to those and answer those for you. If you are looking to see what your personal 4 best directions are, you have 4 power directions: success, health, relationships, and wisdom. Just go to my website, send in your email address, and I'll shoot those right over to you. If you want to know what your power number is, you can actually download that right from my website. You don't have to do anything other than go to flyingstarastrology.com. Scroll down towards the bottom, there's a PDF file, just download it, and that will show you what your power number is based upon your birthday. So I hope you found that interesting, and I will talk to you soon. Have a good rest of the week. Bye.